from what we've heard, but I am so honored to be at this point after all these magnificent voices, this soliloquy in honor of Amiri Baraka. It is a great honor to be here and also to be sharing the same space as Jack Hirschman, whom we are all so honored and so glad that he's here and healthy. For Amiri Baraka, died January 9th, poet, revolutionary, activist, musician, lived from 1934 to 2014, shaped revolutionary politics, wrote blues people, Negro music in white America, poetry, plays, and after the assassination of Malcolm X, moved to Harlem to devote his time to activism, to human rights. You say the ground envelops you when you walk the dog, and your daughter speaks into her own hands on her knees at night. Now you are a part of that mystery, of that hidden place between the fingers of your daughter's hands and underneath the pavement on your city block. Amiri, you fought with hand and soul, with pen and art for the freedom of your people as your poetry imparts. May you find peace. May you find rest in the hidden places of our souls, in the hidden places of our hearts. Amiri Baraka. I wonder if freedom is learning to love. If your love is it then that you're free. Just look at the birds in the skies up above. Their song is a love song to me. Let me be free now to look to the light. Give me the strength to be bold. Just give me one moment to make the world right, and the courage before I rode, and the courage even when I grow old. Amiri Baraka, you had that courage, and your poetry and your music continues to impart that courage. Amiri Baraka, presente.
Now, I really want to call up Deborah Major. Deborah. I really appreciated Manas's poem. Yes. Oh, is that why I use the mic that's in my hand? I was having to decide on using the glasses so I could see. You can see I'm complaining about it all.
Use them both.
I really appreciate Tit Manas's poem about who said Amiri was dead, because to me that's the thing, is as long as we're here and his work and we remember him. Yeah. On considering a lifetime filled with resistance for Amiri. Your words are embers, licking flames, magna growing and then exploding from the volcano's groin. Your barbs tear skin and make some bleed deeply. Who of us has not been fed by your truths? Who of us has not found a path to follow, however rocky and steep? A path that you dug out always, trying to open the eyes of justice and waken the spirits of resistance. You have shown us how many years a man can keep looking and not grow blind. Keep speaking and not have his words become jumbled and finally mute. And now we look around to find the generations who have grown from the words you planted in the distended belly of these harsh, hard times. And how many more generations who will never know you as flesh will splice together words out of humility or arrogance, fury or determination, elegance or awkwardness, which are sheltered by the branches of your spirit, fed by the roots of your vision, and tested on the blade of your convictions.
So I'd like to call up Dottie Payne. Yeah.
Thank you. Didn't realize I was next. I like the fact that I'm standing here with Amiri projected behind me, because like everyone in this room, he had an enormous impact on my life. And after I heard his poetry, I decided, you know, fuck this white people shit, I'm on his side. HomeBringing. It was the down low that swung low. The low down, damn the man blues. It was the how low can they go moan. The deep in the groin moan, the black snake kind, the hoodoo that will do you, that wants to do you in once and for all. It was the Dutchman, but he didn't really mean it, just had to say it. Let me bleed you to get things done. Just had to make his point. Field holler style. Had to fight fire with fire. It was the road to the crossroads for everyone. Made us choose between the past or tomorrow. Made it seem like a place we all just had to go. Made the cosmic cotton cry irrefutably universal, somehow holy. It was Leroy, all draped in kente, didn't even need a drum to announce his coming. Needed no guitar. Arrival instead with his woman and his whole tribe by his side, blasting his white man dig this pride. It was the black cat bone of truth he carried at all times. The shrunken hockey head he flaunted like a noose around his neck. That Newark nappiness he refused to die, fry, or lay to the side. It was Leroy Jones. It was a real gone Gabriel with a bodacious mouth. Sass made all virile. Talk back turned into a loaded gun. His fro he wore like a crown for a bit until he met her and traded in his dashiki for real VC slippers, transformed his printing press into a smoking gun, had the audacity to be the first one to publish them. It was the rage of the righteous we had all heard before, but never quite like this. The deep bone moment of truth, the essence of hurt to hear, but made us need to move, urged us forward toward freedom no matter who we were, made us want to fix this shit. It was Amiri, the fierce one, the dip at the hip made into a qualitative leap towards the door of the only temple available to us. The slide to the side toward liberation that never left him. The stooped little man who always rode in on a lion. The degrees he refused in order to pursue truth. The bougie university shit he scraped off his shoes. It was the man who knew his people's harps had warriors playing them. Such a man requires no map. Half steps deliberately so we can keep up. breaks branches along the way so we can follow him, moves in the stealth of the night only to end up in broad daylight screaming, for some pain cannot be silenced, cannot be whispered, must be worn like an amulet or a brand on the thigh of a god bronzed leg, then flaunted like a fine, high-bootied sister by your side. Amiri rode that black mare hard, straight into the searing fire, and survived. Came out strong on the other side, a stallion leaving tracks on our backs, a fierce in the night, redirecting wind like a poem, so we can still hear him singing, know he is here, home.
Thank you, Dorothy. I think I want to call up George Long now, because we have to have our little George Long moment.
Hey, George.
I don't think you do.
I'm not going to have to get up there because I can't climb up there.
Do you want to go get up?
Even when you're just showing off.
Time in the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. When I slipped into lyricism like that, you rode me not to be a mule.
I can't hear you.
I'll speak louder.
Thank you.
When I slipped into lyricism like that, you rode me not to be a mule. Carrying that same yoke to become fairer, then thin my voice into a whisper. Kumbaya, my Lord. I'd read the line in your forehead, the crease at your lips, how often you sang me home. Break the glass of the line, Kevin. Get the axe and get at it. Bring down any poem with heavenly ambition. What the living gonna do with a heavenly poem? Better yet, who say they God and still be the devil? Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Now we get the chair of the stage. It fucks up the beautiful image of Amiri. And so, next one is Scott Miller.
Oh, what is that? That's mighty fucking important. Oh yeah, because the man needs to know what's going on in here tonight. Right? We're talking some COINTELPRO Pro shit. Y'all better watch out when y'all walk out this motherfucker. I had the pleasure of meeting Amiri Baraka on several occasions. I met him once at a club in New York, a little jazz club over in Manhattan, and I look over and I'm like, oh shit, it's Amiri Baraka. Right? And then I wrote this thing. It actually was a tribute not just to him, but to a lot of my mentors and people who had inspired me to follow this ridiculously poverty-ridden world that we walk on. You know, everybody knows my phone get ready to turn off. All right, so yo, email me. Email me, yo, because my phone will be off in the next 2 hours, 3 hours. This dude's supposed to owe me some money. He gonna give me, he gonna give me But I wrote this thing called the Afro-Cerebral Manifesto. The piece I'm reading is about 3 minutes long, so I'm going to fill up the 2 minutes with the story of that. So I wrote this thing called the Afro-Cerebral Manifesto. I was writing this piece of fiction called Not From Here, and I was inspired by this writer named Henry Dumas. If you haven't heard of Henry Dumas, look up Henry Dumas, okay? Like straight up and down. So Dumas had written this, he was in a genre of a certain kind of like speculative mythology, right? He talked about things like come from the hoodoo thing, like Ishmael Reed was doing, but he was way earlier than Ishmael. Him and Ishmael were kind of like on the same parallel thing. Ishmael's coming from the Uber group. I want to make this very clear, because I know somebody's recording it. I want to make this very clear. There's the Uber group, and there's the Black Arts Movement. Right? Like, am I right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody knows this. Okay, there's the Uber group, and there's the Black Arts Movement. Okay? So, Henry Dumas was the leader of the Black Arts Movement. Okay? He actually interviewed Sun Ra. He was really more deeply into mythology. You call him there's cultural nationalists, and then you have like these kind of like revolutionary nationalists, if you will. And Amiri Dumas was one of those members. So what Amiri Baraka was doing was he was actually sending out an olive branch to the cultural nationalists, the revolutionary nationalists, when he reviewed Henry Dumas's work in this anthology called Ark of Bones. And in Ark of Bones, he actually says, okay, well, what Henry Dumas is doing is this thing called Afro-Surreal Expressionism. And he wrote that in 1974. I didn't discover it until 2003. But as I'm writing, I come to realize that this man has defined the trajectory of my art, Amiri Baraka. And I was blessed with being able to be working at the San Francisco Bay Guardian, so I actually had Amiri Baraka's phone number. I could actually call somebody and be like, yo, let me get Amiri Baraka's phone number. And so I called Amiri Baraka, and I told him what I was trying to do. I was like, bro, you actually discovered my aesthetic. Like, can I use it? And he said, yeah, take it as far as you can take it. And so I wrote this thing called the Afro-Cerebral Manifesto. And I would check in with him on a periodic basis, either through phone or email, and ask him if I was doing it right. And the brother always told me I was. You're doing it right. So what I did was, when Amiri passed, I read everything I could find by Amiri Baraka. And I ran across this thing from the New American Poetry Anthology, 1945 to 1960. And it's this thing called How You Sound. And this is the closest I've ever gotten to a manifesto come from Amiri Baraka. So I'm just going to call it the Amiri Baraka Manifesto, known as How You Sound. How you sound is what we recent fellows are up to. How we sound, our peculiar grasp on, say, a molecular speech, B, poetries of the world, C, ourselves, which is attitudes, logics, theories, jumbles of our lives and all that. D, and the final, the totality of the mind, spiritual, God, or you name it, social, zeitgeist, or Heideggerian Umwelt. My poetry is whatever I think I am. Can I be light and weightless as a sail? Heavy and clunking like 8 black boots? I can be anything I can. I make poetry with what I feel is useful and can be saved out of all the garbage of our lives. What I see, am touched by, can hear, wives, gardens, jobs, cement yards where cats pee, all my intermental artifacts, all are poetry, and nothing moves with any grace, prior apart from these things. There cannot be closet poetry unless the closet be as wide as God's eye. And all that means that I must be completely free to do just what I want in a poem. All is permitted, Ivan's crucial concept. There cannot be anything I must fit into. Everything must be made to fit into the poem. There must not be any preconceived notion or design for what a poem ought to be. Who knows what a poem ought to sound like until it's dark, says Charles Olson. And I follow closely with that. I'm not interested in writing sonnets, sestinas, or anything. Only poems. If the poem has got to be a sonnet, unlikely though, or whatever, it'll certainly let me know. The only recognizable tradition a poet needs to follow is himself. And with that, say all those things out of tradition, he can use, adapt, work over into something for himself to broaden his own voice. You have to start and finish there. Your own voice. How you sound. Thank you.
He is, of course, absolutely right. So, the writer are... No. So, vi plan here, vi har got lovely Michael Moore in the house. Yeah.
That was great, Dee.
Thank you.
So I think somewhat appropriately, I met Amiri Baraka as a teenager in a book that I stole. It was a book called 3,000 Years of Black Poetry. And so I got all these poets at the same time. No divisions, right, but the pages. And so it had a profound impact on me. And recently, I had this experience, this relationship with him throughout my adult life, but I spent a lot of time with him last year. I was in his home last summer with he and Amina for a photo shoot of portraits. We were doing a video shoot as well, and this is for a book that I'm editing called Of Poetry and Protest, from Emmett Till to Trayvon Martin. And so that book has Amiri's, it has an essay. There's only one essay in the book, and it's from Amiri Baraka. So he's had this profound influence on me, and I had this good fortune to have this relationship with him. And in that interview that we did last summer, he spoke about how you are going to be attacked. You are going to be attacked for not, just referring to us, right? To revolutionaries, to people who are trying to implement change. And he ended that interview with the word that Luther continua. So it was just, that was the way the interview ended. So this is a piece that's not to Amiri Baraka. It's not Amiri Baraka, but it's a piece that's in progress that I don't think I could have written this piece were it not for having stolen that book and learned of him. I'm going to give it, I have to say, I always say this, that what goes around comes around, and that book was stolen from me. So I hope whoever has it is doing some good with it. But this is called I Like My Neo-Fascist Naked.
Abby Hoffman says it's cool to
Wisdom. I like my neo-fascists naked. I want the robes of our justices flowing unfettered by friendly fig leaves, explicit in their ugliness, their rows of corporate-fed excess flaunted, absent the ritual of false denial, their rulings free of full equivalency, statistical dishonesty, and classless level playing fields. I want my MTV, my N-word spelled overtly, niggerized and righteous hatred, spoken in non-hyper-justified gibberish, decoded in unconstrained, embedded, marketed ignorance, managed through transparent, instructed malevolence, for even those non-fluid in the ways of this nefarious nigger distracted world to see. I want our backwardness walking forward,
scarred knuckles scraping our glorious amber plains, flagellating our virus-infected brains on the prairies of flat eartherism, denying the science of the sun. I want the logic of legislative inquisitions, those democratic knife fights held increasingly in the dead of night that injure my nieces, my sister, my mother, my wife, the sadistic incursion into their wombs, the state-dictated procedures in the sacrilegious name of submission. I want to see them burned in sunlight.
Right.
I want shadowing under pretense of patriotism, the criminalizing of conversation, of